Tonight, waiting for the results. Water testing underway in Menindee as the official fish death cleanup enters its second day. And what's in a name? How Quorn locals can have their say in naming the new town centre.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with Madeline Kerr begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. The cleanup is underway along the Darling Barker River, with emergency services beginning the arduous task of removing millions of dead fish carcasses from the water. And with less than 36 hours until the polls open for the New South Wales state election, how this fish kill event is handled could be critical in deciding who Menindee residents vote for. Our Broken Hill reporter Joshua Mercer has more.
The Emergency Operations Centre is ensuring that a clean and fresh water supply is being maintained for the people of Menindee and properties surrounding the main Weir pool. Despite the team on the ground, the residents of Menindee are still concerned about the quality of the water. Locals given no choice but to wait until the test results come back. In the meantime, Assistant Commissioner Brett Greentree is overseeing the cleanup, coordinating the emergency response by the New South Wales Department of Planning, Department of Primary Industries, Water New South Wales and the Central Darling Shire Council, planning and assessing to the best of their abilities. Staff got to work removing as many dead fish as possible. At the helm of the awful task, a contractor from South Australia. The team now deployed on the water, working with officers from Fire and Rescue New South Wales, using specialised equipment to remove fish from the water. Workers are using 200-metre long rubber booms along the river, sinking to a depth of 40 centimetres. These contraptions float on top of the water and help to keep things in order. From there, the fish will be transported away from town and into landfill. The exact location of the dump site is yet to be revealed. As for the remaining living fish, fisheries staff are trawling the watery graveyard to find at-risk Murray cod, golden perch and silver perch, relocating them elsewhere. Again, their new homes have not been revealed. Now, Maddie, there's another town meeting at midday tomorrow at the Menindee Town Hall for anyone who wasn't able to attend Tuesday's meeting. And with the New South Wales election coming up on Saturday, Maddie, things might get heated.
Indeed it could, Josh. Thank you. Also making news today, Quorn's new town centre officially opened over the weekend in front of a crowd of locals delighted with the end result. Mayor Ken Anderson says a naming competition is on the cards, giving members of the public a chance to name the new space.
The flair of fringe in the Flinders was there for all to see in Quorn as Madame Bonbon assisted in the ribbon cutting of the new town square.
I walked around the corner and I came around here and I was just blown away to see the transformation here, and it is absolutely fantastic.
Open for locals to enjoy a break, watch performances, hold weddings or even conventions. The $500,000 redevelopment commenced under former Mayor Greg Flint.
The Streetscape Committee that put in so much energy in its design, obviously Council that put in the effort, tissied up the design a little bit and have made this very special precinct a special place.
The striking steel columns came from Whyalla with a full focus on localism.
The majority of the stuff is all from local area, the local stone, local slate, local contractors, right from the electricians to all the workers. So it's been a real community and local project.
Now Flinders Rangers Council is looking into a naming competition for the town square, with locals disliking the initial Arts Precinct name.
Really identifies, the name that's going to stick, that's going to be attract people and going to stick in your head. So, yeah, we'll look at the options on that and get a really good title.
Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Golf News.
We've got a bit of a history lesson for you tonight, straight from the Port Lincoln foreshore. Our reporter Alison Hall had a chat with the great-great-great-granddaughter of James Wiles, a friend of Matthew Flinders, and the namesake of the Southern Eyre Peninsula's Cape Wiles.
If you're a local, you've likely heard of Cape Wiles for its stunning scenery and fur seal colony. But do you know how it got its name?
My great-great-great-grandfather was James Wiles, after which the Cape was named by Matthew Flinders.
They met on the HMS Providence on the second voyage of Captain Bligh.
They were on the ship for 18 months and they just seemed to have bonded.
Despite parting ways as James settled in Jamaica, they kept corresponding.
Matthew Flinders had written to Wiles and told him that on the Eyre Peninsula that he was going to name the Cape after him, Cape Wiles.
And he returned the favour.
He named a plant Flindericia laconii after Flinders, so there's that dual thing there.
Jenny is heavily invested in her history now, but that wasn't always the case.
Growing up as a child, you never sort of cared that much, but as you get older and you study and you research more, it becomes more important to you.
And what did she think of Cape Wiles after travelling all the way from Canada?
Oh, it was fantastic. Yeah, very rugged, but I knew that. I've seen pictures of it before. So it was quite something to see and very emotional, really.
What an incredible story to pass down to future generations.
I think I'm the first descendant that has got this far.
Alison Hall, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Still to come tonight, how cool is this? Spencer Golf kids have the chance to build their own skateboard from scratch this weekend. And riding their bikes to raise money for sick kids. Our chat with Tim Ferguson. Welcome back. SA Youthway gets underway from tomorrow with a huge range of activities available across the Spencer Gulf for kids and adults aged between 12 and 24. In Whyalla, several organisations have come together for a skateboard building workshop. That could be a great social event for younger people, but also family and friends.
Things are going to get gnarly at the Risket Skate Park, with the opportunity for young people to build their own skateboard in a 2-day workshop over the weekend.
Well, it comes from conversations with young people, and young people are really, they really want to get involved these days and get out and get active. And one of the reasons we decided to put on the workshop is that it has a great mentoring aspect to it.
Bring a lot of kids together, so which is a good thing. So they do come to the centre quite a lot, but something like this, which is bigger and better and more fun, and what gives them another opportunity to do something a bit different.
Headspace is also involved in the workshop as the organisation reaches out to people who are doing it tough.
Getting involved in the community is a great way to change a person's life. I know as soon as I started getting involved with Headspace, my life had changed. And I know plenty of other people who as soon as they started getting involved in the community, their lives have done a complete 180 and gone in all these different directions.
Meanwhile, in Port Augusta, the Yartapeli Art Gallery will be launching Belonging, a week-long event for those aged 10 to 18 to express their freedom of expression through art, drawing and music. The workshop starts from 11 a.m. both days. Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Golf News.
After months of fundraising, the Ride for Sick Kids charity are jumping on their bikes this weekend. The group will be pedalling around 1,000 kilometres, raising money for the children of Ronald McDonald House, Adelaide.
Pedalling for a good cause. The riders are primed and ready to go. But before they head off, there's a few things they need to get done.
We're all going to head down Thursday and Friday, so a few blokes going to get few blokes getting some services done on their bikes. Just maintain, just make sure everything's sweet and ready to go.
After a dinner on Saturday night, riders will leave from Ronald McDonald House in North Adelaide on Sunday morning, with a team that has grown over the years.
This is the biggest team we've had, so we've actually recruited 9 riders this year. It's a far cry from when we first started. I think there was 2 riders. Slowly progressed, so you can see the interest and the excitement has grown.
Training for the event has been hard, but each rider has been committed to being in the best shape possible.
We quite often meet up and we do an early morning ride before the guys go to work or we're off on panel. So we try to get 50 to 60 Ks, sometimes 100 Ks each day.
The fundraising efforts have been fantastic, with over $119,000 raised.
I can't thank the Broken Hill public enough for their support and generosity. Every time we sort of ask or have a function, we get generous numbers, generous donations to all our functions and events. So our golf day, trivia night, colour run, AFL grand final day. It's just amazing.
You can catch Tim and his crew riding along the Clare Valley early next week. Joshua Mercer, 7, Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. Port Lincoln cricketers come together for a presentation night ahead of this weekend's grand final. And the former AFL player turned ambassador for the upcoming Copper Coast Masters Games. Welcome back. Cricket presentations were a hit in Port Lincoln last night as A-grade, B-grade and junior players accepted their awards. A particular highlight was when Strikers player Tegan McFarlane and former national cricket player Andrea McCauley shared their stories.
Cricket players left the Port Lincoln Hotel last night feeling very proud of themselves after a great season. Their achievements being noticed by some special guests.
We've been invited over to the Port Lincoln Cricket Association Awards night tonight. Myself and board member Andrea McCauley from SACA. So, excellent to come across and just be a female presence from a cricketing sense over here.
There was a special focus on women's cricket throughout the night, particularly from a regional angle.
And you guys over here are probably a little bit further out of the from the metro area, so it's harder to get the message out. So I think it's been fantastic that they've reached out and asked us to come over and have a chat and just tell the story of female cricket.
With Tegan sitting amongst the girls for most of the night.
That's excellent. So getting to sit amongst them and sort of just intro yourself but get to know them a little bit more and just talk about cricket and how excited they are about it. It's excellent to see.
The two role models headed up on stage to pitch facts.
We do know that females, if it wasn't for them playing cricket back in the 1800s with their big skirts, that the boys would still be bowling underarm. So we invented overarm bowling and we want to make sure that everyone knows that.
As a country girl myself, coming to support other cricket associations from the country is close to my heart. So, happy to be here.
A very educational and rewarding night for Port Lincoln cricket. Alison Hall, 7, Spencer Golf News.
The 2023 Masters Games are just around the corner. And former AFL star Sam Jacobs, now Masters Games ambassador, has been dusting off the footy boots with the Copper Coast Mare in order to prepare.
You might recognise Sam Jacobs from the TV, but these days he enjoys spending time in his hometown of Ardrossan.
With my wife being from Arthurton and obviously a lot of her life is in the Copper Coast, that I've spent more and more time there probably the last 10 to 15 years.
With the Copper Coast hosting the 2023 Masters Games, Sam felt confident taking on the role of ambassador.
Well, I guess it's just it was a pretty natural fit. Being a York Peninsula boy, anything that I can sort of be a part of and help promote, I'm always keen to do.
Now retired from professional sport, Sam still maintains a healthy, active lifestyle.
And obviously sports is my passion, it's my life. So, and I guess the other thing is probably my age demographic now. I'm 35 next year.
Sam will not be competing this year due to sport and work commitments. But that hasn't stopped him from training with Copper Coast Mayor Rosalind Talbot.
I had a great training session with Sam. He had lots of tips for me, lots of little training exercises for me to continue with. But I think he's a little bit worried because I did a pretty good job against him.
Registrations close on Wednesday, April the 5th. So still plenty of time to get involved. Annabelle Francis, 7, Spencer Golf News.
If you're in Whyalla on Friday, get ready for a night of music and comedy. The Jingo Brothers are in town. Jolly Jingo and Steady Eddie have been touring the Spencer Gulf this month, visiting Port Pirie, Kimber and Tumby Bay before heading to the Whyalla United Club. Steady Eddie, who was born with cerebral palsy, has toured with Jolly Jingo since 2012. Their act described as a unique experience.
Being on LSD, without actually taking LSD.
The Jingo Brothers then head to Port Augusta for a performance at Spur Park on Saturday night. Stay with us after the break. In the midst of this horrific fish kill event in the far west of New South Wales, other parts of our region are still able to fish. We'll have our tips up next. And as always, we'll be joined by Alex Sykes in the studio to give you the very latest weather details for the Spencer Gulf and surrounds. Welcome back. As we saw earlier in the bulletin, the far west of New South Wales is experiencing yet another mass fish kill event. It's estimated millions of fish are dead, including native fish like Murray cod and perch, with cleanup efforts currently underway. And before our regular Fish and Tips segment, we want to acknowledge the people of Menindee. But with that, here's what's biting around the Spencer Gulf.
Welcome another week around the Gulf Fishing Tips. The weather this week, you cannot stop talking about that, but the best thing is we've had this kaleidoscope of seasons at the moment. So we've still got blue swimmer crabs, which just should be petering off, but they're still very strong in the Port Pirie, Port Davis area. But we're seeing some King George whiting from the early part of the season and some straggling yellowfin whiting. So all of you fishers out there would understand that the best places that you've got are around the Barrows Beach area, the oval at Port Davis and Third Creek Patches, Checker Buoy, Eastern Shoal. So all of those places I want you to try over the weekend. I think the weather's going to be fine. It's not too hot, not too big a wind pattern. If you find yourself out there, don't forget to have a chance and looking at salmon as well. So you could find some nice big salmon around the Third Creek patches, and inside the Third Creek mouth should be able to find you some good feeds. But there's a beautiful array of fish out there at the moment. And strangely enough, our squid further south is starting to come online. So from Port Broughton south, you'll see squid. But keep a squid jag over while you're fishing just in case, because what a mix of fish. You can come home with some crab, some squid, and some whiting. What a delicacy. You could enjoy your meal for the evening. That's all I've got this week. We'll see you next week.
G'day and welcome to this week's Fish and Tips from Port Lincoln. Starting around the bay here, the crabs have still been a really popular option. There's also been plenty of whiting, garfish and little tommies around the bay here as well, and a few squid off the rocks as well late in the evening. Moving down the passage, there's been a few morwong and also nanagai down there. The guys have been doing alright on the tuna around the cabbage patch and also low rocks. Moving over to Coffin Bay, there's also been a lot of nanagai over there and a few blue morwong. The tuna have been best down towards the hummocks and out at Greenlee Island. There's also been a few small kingfish and trevally around the islands there as well. Moving in towards Farm Beach, the whiting been going really well there. There's also been some small tommies and garfish around that area too, and gummy sharks have been taking a few baits here and there as well. That's about it for this week. We'll see you again next week.
G'day and welcome to this week's Fish and Tips from Port Augusta, Jewel of the North. Well, the bog stock options are out there at the moment. Lots of crabs, nice big and full of meat as well. Pretty well all on the shacks and over the other side as well. And also silver whiting on those low tides out in those middle banks around the Flinders Channel seems to be the best for those. And on the higher tides up around Port Patterson. There's been some good snoot getting caught on the troll around over in the Oyster Run in the top end of the Flinders. And the squid should be about a fortnight away with Easter. Normally start getting a couple around Easter time, but if you want to try down around Chinaman's Creek and probably even further down around the Atla area, you'll start getting some calamari. That's all we have from the Jewel of the North.
Cheers, Aaron. Always some excellent tips out of the Jewel of the North. It's time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather with Alex Sykes. Alex, bear with me, this is kind of weather related. There was an earthquake in the Flinders Ranges this morning.
Yeah, that's right, Maddie. A magnitude 4.7 earthquake was recorded in the Flinders Ranges just before 10 o'clock this morning. Thankfully, no reports of any major damage, just a few wobbly light fixings. Temperature-wise, sunny in most places, 26 in Port Augusta, 34 in Broken Hill, Clare warm and 25. Elsewhere, 26 degrees in Port Pirie today, 24 in Kadina. Port Lincoln reached 24 degrees as well. Taking a look at the satellite image now, cloudy around the southwest ahead of an approaching trough, mostly clear skies elsewhere. On the Gulf waters tomorrow, south to southeasterly winds 10 to 20 knots, seas up to 1.5 metres, and south to southwesterly swell below a metre, increasing up to 1.5 metres. Partly cloudy and 23 in Port Lincoln tomorrow, set to reach a high of 22 in Cleve, cloudy and 25 in around Woodna. Partly cloudy in Whyalla tomorrow, set to reach a high of 23 degrees there. Port Augusta will get to around 26 on Friday, down to 17 tonight, and a high of 26 in Kadina as well. Port Pirie also set to reach a high of 26, partly cloudy, and a top of 22 on the way for Clare. Blue skies around Broken Hill, 29 degrees. Taking a look further through the week now, it's looking pretty cloudy around the Gulf on Saturday, 23 in Port Lincoln, 30 degrees on the way for Port Pirie. Possible showers on the way for Woodna, Port Lincoln, Adelaide and Kadina on Sunday. Really warm in the Opal capital, heading for a top of 40 degrees up there. And finally, possible storm in Port Augusta and Cooper Pedy on Monday. Showers are forecast everywhere else. Temperatures between 22 and 30 degrees. And that's all the weather from me for tonight. I'll see you a little later with an update. It's back to you, Maddie.
Thanks for that, Alex. Much appreciated as always. And that's the local news this Thursday. I'm Madeline Kerr. From all of us here, thanks for joining us. I'll have updates a little later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.